Good morning and welcome to Live Oak. Please rise in body or in spirit for our gathering hymn 1053, How Could Anyone?
Good morning and welcome, beloved community. I'm Reverend Joanna. In this sacred space, we gather as one, celebrating the tapestry of our diversity, honoring the boundless love that unites us all. Live Oak Unitarian Universalist Church is unambiguously, unapologetically progressive, and our doors swing wide to embrace all who seek a welcoming place where we celebrate the LGBTQIA+ community, where we know that every identity is a divine expression of humanity, where we commit to the work of dismantling systemic racism and other oppressions, striving for a world where equity, compassion, and justice are the cornerstones of our shared existence. May our worship today be a source of inspiration, a wellspring of courage, and a call to action. Welcome, dear friends, to this place of love, acceptance, and progress.
My name is Ram Santhanam, and I want to extend a special welcome to any visitors we have today, in person or online. If you haven't already, I encourage you to stop by our visitors table in the narthex after the service to sign up for our weekly newsletter so we can meet and answer any questions you may have. Unitarian Universalism is a non-creedal faith. There are no doctrines you have to agree with in order to belong. Instead, we are held together by a covenant, our promises to each other in this church and within our religious tradition. Please join me in these words from our historic faith by James Villa Blake. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is the great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. We unite with you churches around the world by lighting our flaming chalice, the symbol of our religion. Today, Emerson will be lighting our chalice. Here and at home, we light it today with these words. There is perhaps no greater symbol of universal love than the love between a mother and a child. For whatever else happens in that relationship, it was first and foremost love that gave birth to life and the potential of extending that love forward into eternity. We light this chalice in honor of the mothers everywhere who gave birth to us. Today's reading, Flower Communion by Lynn Unger. What a gathering, the purple tongues of iris licking out its spikes of lupine, the orange crepe skirts of poppies lifting over buttercup and daisy. Who can be grim in the face of such abundance? There's nothing to compare, no need for beauty to compete. The voluptuous rhododendron and the plain grass are equally filled with themselves, equally declare the miracles of color and form. This is what community looks like, this vibrant jostle, stem by stem, declaring the marvelous joining. This is the face of communion, the incarnation once more gracefully resurrected from winter. From these things together in your sight, purple, crimson, magenta, blue, you will be feasting on this long after the flowers are gone.
For the past 31 years, Live Oak has been a beacon of acceptance, love, and inclusivity in an area where our values often challenge the status quo. In a world where divisiveness and intolerance seem to be growing stronger, we firmly believe in the transformative power of our faith and the positive impact we are having in our area. We invite you to make a financial contribution to help sustain this church's vital work, knowing that every gift, large and small, is appreciated and carefully used in service to our mission. And if you would like to donate electronically, there's a card with a QR code in the seat back pockets, and it's also up there. Let this time of offering be a reflection of our shared commitment to making a positive impact on the world and a reminder that our Unitarian Universalist values guide us not only in our beliefs, but also in our actions. Thank you for being here today and your contributions to our ongoing journey of building the beloved community here and in our wider parish.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Yay. Today is a very special day, a very special service for us as we do our flower communion and we celebrate. And there may be some of us wondering, what is a flower communion and why is it important? So I'm going to share a story with you today called A Plain and Simple Beauty. And it is the story of the flower communion about real UUs in a real UU church with a real minister. And it started in 1923 in a country called Czechoslovakia. And it was a time where things were kind of rough. It was between two wars and things were simple. And there was a minister there that, well, let's talk about the churches. Some churches were tall and had spires that went up to the sky. They may have had bell towers with bells that rang, dong, dong. There was big doors that were carved and stained glass windows. There could be, I don't know, an organ the size of this room with pipes that went to the ceiling, with pipes as small as your pinky and pipes as big as a tree. And some churches had pianos, and some churches had beautiful art and statues and tapestries, but not the church I'm going to talk about. The church that I'm talking about was a very plain and simple church. It had none of those things in it. It had no bells, no spires, no stained glass. It had no organ to make beautiful music. It didn't even have a piano. It didn't have carvings on the wood doors or statues of stone. It had no candles or chalices. It had no flowers. The church did have a few things. It had 4 walls. It had what do you think? A ceiling, a roof. It had doors. It had some simple windows. It was all very plain and simple. They had wooden chairs to sit in, where they sat every Sunday and they listened to their minister. Except this church also had people who came to it every Sunday, and they were the most important part of the church of all, because without people, a church, any church, no matter how fancy or how plain, is just a building. No matter how tall its spires, no matter how loud its bells. And the people would say, we have a plain and simple church because we are plain and simple people. We need nothing more but each other. The church also had one other important thing. I wonder if you can think what that might be. It had a minister. And his name was Norbert Chopek, and he was the minister at the Plain and Simple Church for 2 years. And every Sunday, Minister Chopek went to the church and he spoke to the people. And while they listened, sitting quiet and still in those hard wooden chairs, when he was done speaking, the people talked a little bit among themselves and they went home. And that was all. No music, no candles, no food, no coffee. Minister Chopek had wondered sometimes if there might be something, perhaps just a little something more. He wrote some songs and the people sang them, but nothing else came to his mind. So the church went on as plain and as simple as before. But then springtime came, just like here, and Norbert Chopek went for a stroll. And as he was walking, he saw all these beautiful flowers. And right now I'd like to invite you, if you are a kid and you'd like to come up and see the flowers, come on up. If you want to bring an adult helper with you, that's fine too. Anybody want to come up? It's okay, you don't have to. It's only if you want to. Here comes someone. So we're looking at the flowers, right? I wonder, you want to see the flowers? Because a lot of times we don't get a chance to see them by the time we get up here. What do you notice about the flowers? Are they all different? Yeah. They're all different colors. Some of them have a scent, some of them don't. Some of them have spikes to protect them, some of them don't. Some of them have a scent, some of them don't. They're all different, and they're all unique. Isn't that cool? Have you guys been for a stroll lately here in Texas with all the flowers? And it's so beautiful, isn't it? And all the scents that come in the air. Well, as Reverend Chopek was walking down and he saw the flowers, he got an idea. Do you see the pretty flowers? He got an idea. He said, And he went to church the next Sunday and he said, next Sunday, I'd like each one of you to bring a flower to church. And the people said, what color? What kind? How many? What should we do? And Reverend Chopek said, you choose. You choose what you want to bring. So the next Sunday came and everybody brought a flower just as they had been instructed, and they put them in the baskets and in the vases in the front of the church. And Reverend Chopek stood there and he talked to them about the uniqueness of each bloom, how every single one of them needed to be cared for in a different way, or had different needs, or looked different. Some were short, some were tall, some were colorful, some were not. They're just like us. All of them are beautiful, all of them are unique, but when you bring them all together, we create a bouquet. We create the bouquet of community with all of our uniqueness and all of our beauty. I wonder, do you know and do you realize how much or how unique you are, how wonderful you are, how loved you are? And I want to thank everyone for helping me tell our story by coming and looking at our flowers, and just say Happy Flower Communion.
Please rise as you're willing and able for hymn 21, For the Beauty of the Earth.
So in 1948, there was a congregation in Chicago. It was called, I believe, the First Society, the First Unitarian Society of Chicago. And they were having a big debate. There were leaders in this church who called for a special board meeting. And what they asked for was, there were leaders in the church that were asking for the church to be desegregated. And let's go to the next slide there. Next one. There we go. That's the Society of Chicago. I know that it may surprise some of us, the fact that there was even a need for this, right? Why was a Unitarian or Universalist church ever segregated in the first place? But there were. I think that's one of the things that we have to accept and grapple with, is the fact that Unitarian and Universalist churches, and then after we consolidated in 1961, UU churches, we reflect society. We hopefully are going to be on the more progressive end of it, but we have not always been on the right side of history as soon as we should have been. But they had some leaders that were trying to get there. They were trying to desegregate the church. The board meeting went into the wee hours because there was one board member who just kept fighting this effort to desegregate. Now, one of the board members, some of you have heard this name before, was James Luther Adams, who would come to be known as the most influential theologian, UU theologian of the 20th century. At this time, he was a seminary professor, and he was a member of the church, and he was serving on the board, as our best and brightest do. Put in a little plug there. And he was one of the ones that was fighting for desegregation. And so he just went head to head with this one member, hour after hour, until James Luther Adams finally asked him, What is the purpose of our church? And the man thought about it, and he finally, with a sigh, said, to get a hold of people like me and change us. I imagine that many of us have heard that saying about it takes a village to raise a child, right? And I absolutely am a big believer in this. When I look now at my 4 young adult children that I am so proud of, I can see in them the effects of the villages that we have been a part of, and specifically the Unitarian Universalist villages. They helped raise my kids into these people who I'm so privileged to know. But here's the thing, it's not just kids. It takes a village to raise all of us, because we're never done, right? James Luther Adams, this was what he laid out at one point, what he called some of the core tenets of Unitarian Universalism. And one of them was the concept of continuous revelation. The idea, the knowledge that there is always something new to learn, that humans are constantly learning new things, and we individually are constantly growing and learning new things and having new epiphanies. This church called me to be your minister right about this time 10 years ago, and I will tell you, I'm a better person now than I was 10 years ago, and it's because of you. That's what we do for each other. If you have been a member for a long time here, and you are not a better person, and let me, for those who have walked in for the first time, let me say, you are perfect as you are. And as the Buddhists say, and you could use some work. We continue to grow and to learn, and sometimes it happens in very direct ways. You may be leading a class. You may be leading a class for adults, or you may be leading a class for children. And I know that just about everyone, if not 100% of the people who teach our kids, at the end of it say, oh, I am the one who learned the most through doing this. We shape each other into who we are going to be. But a lot of it is not even through like didactic classes. It's simply by sharing things that we know, or even more so, sharing who we are. This is a room full of people who I want to be like when I grow up, right? And we teach each other. Connie Goodbread, a Unitarian Universalist, says the congregation is the curriculum. We teach each other by what we do or what we don't do. Could you go to the next slide? My horticulturalist out here. Oops. Let's go back into the sermon, because I need y'all to see a picture. So those of you who are gardeners, horticulturalists, those who understand plants, I'm going to show you a picture, and I'm hoping someone can identify, there we go, what it is. Anyone know what this is?
That's a leaf. Monstera.
Monstera. Very good. Awesome. Like monster, because it can get to be very, very large. Here's something interesting about this plant. You have probably, even if you aren't gardening, you probably have seen this plant before, maybe like in a hotel lobby. And it can be like several stories high, and you might have thought, oh, it must have a really strong trunk. No, this plant does not have a trunk at all. It is a climbing plant. Out in the wild, it will often be against a tree, and it will climb up the tree. If you are raising one of these, you have to put in some type of a very strong support. And please go to the next slide. When you have that kind of support, you see how they can grow. Now here is the really interesting thing. The monstera knows if it has support or not. If it does not have support, it can grow, it can thrive, but it's going to put out very little leaves. when it knows it has support, it makes these huge leaps. And isn't that a metaphor for our lives? When we know that we have support, it makes us braver to do bigger things. 20 years ago, I wanted to start seminary. I was going to start with just one class because, maybe this was just a phase. Had to go from the suburbs into downtown Houston. That's where I was living at the time. But I had this one problem, and that was I had 3 little kids at home. They were not the problem, but the problem was the time that I needed to leave in order to get down there is an evening class, and the time when my spouse was going to get home from work. There was a 1.5 hour gap. I tried to get a babysitter. You try and get a babysitter for 1.5 hours a week. Pretty much impossible. I was a member of a Unitarian Universalist church, and there was an older retired lady, a former educator, Cheryl Marshall. She heard about what I was trying to do. She came to me and she said, "I think you should be a minister, and so I want to do this for you. I will be there every Monday night." She would not accept pay, and she was there, and I could start seminary. About a year or so later, she was right next to me in the hospital room when I was giving birth to my 4th child. And 10 years later, I was a minister, and I was the minister who did her funeral. We are so interconnected, and you just cannot know what is going to happen with your relationships. By the way, when I graduated seminary, she had this stole handmade for me. When we give each other support, we can put out those giant leaves. And we support each other in so many different ways. Simply the feeling of belonging that comes when you are part of an intentional village, and that is what this is. We no longer live in villages, and so we make a choice. And we come here, and at some point, and if you aren't already, I hope you make this choice, because I see it all the time. I truly believe if this church is a good fit for you, your life will be better when you become a part of this community, this intentional village. As Chris was talking about, this tradition that we have, this is our oldest community UU tradition, and we do it at just about all UU congregations, not only here, but in other countries as well. And Chopek's idea, and his wife Maya, it was this idea that we celebrate the uniqueness of each individual, and we celebrate the fact that we take each other as we are. If you live in a village, you don't get to decide everyone who is going to be there, right? And so there is a level of tolerance that comes in. Now, in a Unitarian Universalist congregation, we have a covenant which gives us our guidelines around how we're going to be together. But we're still very different people. If you could go to the next slide, which has a quote on it. So this is what Maya Chopek said. She said, "No 2 flowers are alike. No 2 people are alike, yet each has a contribution to make. Each would help to make this world as beautiful as a colorful bouquet. By exchanging the flowers, we signify that we are willing, in the spirit of tolerance and patience, to march together in search of truth, disregarding all that usually divides people." This is our intentional village of flowers. Happy Flower Communion Day. And I invite you to join me in a time of reflection in word and in silence. I'd invite you also to remove any distractions you might have in your lap, kind of center yourself. If you are comfortable doing so, you may want to close your eyes so that you can give yourself the gift of a moment of going inward. This is A Place of Belonging and Caring by Kimberly Ann Tomczyk Carlson. It is not by chance that you arrived here today. You have been looking for something larger than yourself. Inside of you, there is a yearning, a calling, a hope for more, a desire for a place of belonging and caring. Through your struggles, someone nurtured you into being, instilling a belief in a shared purpose, a common yet precious resource that belongs to all of us when we share. And so you began seeking a beloved community, a people that does not put fences around love, a community that holds its arms open to possibilities of love, a heart home to nourish your soul and share your gifts. Welcome home. And let us hold that for a moment together in sacred stillness. With gratitude for all we hold dear, including the quiet little voices among us, because they are the sound of the flowers in the wind, we say amen and blessed be. Would you please join me in our sung response? When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. So this community, as is said, is a chosen village where all of our lives are interconnected. Part of the tapestry of our communal journey is sharing the significant milestones, joys, and sorrows in our lives and witnessing the diversity we hold. One of us may be celebrating a life event while another is mourning a grief. And there's a beauty in that mosaic as we are reminded that these moments of life are transient and ever-changing. Today, Mark Anderson shares in remembering of my mom who at age 33, after our dad passed away unexpectedly, took over sole parenting duties for us kids. Thank you, Mom, for loving me and instilling me with the value of education. Barbara Coldiron shares that yesterday was the 40th anniversary of her father's death. Chris Jarman shares great joy for all the volunteers today who made us a lovely breakfast. Jenna shares, we hope that one of our recent job applications leads to a new job opportunity for Jesse. Apollo shares 2 weeks left of school. That makes me nervous and happy. And Ram Santanam shares that this is the first Mother's Day since Amma's, his mom's passing. Mixed emotions. May this community draw closer with our shared experiences as we celebrate life's triumphs and navigate its trials together. So after creating the flower ceremony, Norbert Chopek wrote to the president of the American Unitarian Association, Sam Elliott, and said, "We are trying to find new expressions of our religious life very slowly and carefully. We have made a new experience in symbolizing our liberty and brotherhood." This was back at that time, so less inclusive language, "in a service which was so powerful and impressive that I have never experienced anything like it. The most dry and rationalistic members were moved, and many an eye brightened through tears. On that very Sunday, everyone was supposed to bring a flower. The sight of so many beautiful flowers was wonderful, and more of them were coming, solemnly yet joyfully, with full understanding of the meaning. In my sermon, I put emphasis upon the individual character of each member flower, on our liberty as a foundation of our fellowship. Then I emphasized our common cause, our belonging together as one spiritual community. And then they go home, that each is to take one flower just as it comes, without making any distinction where it came from and who it represents, to confess that we accept one another as siblings, without regard to class, race, or other distinction, acknowledging everybody as our friend who is human and wishes to be good." So after the consecration of the flowers, I'm going to invite you to come forward and accept one as Chopek intended, just as it comes, knowing that you are signifying our commitment to accept each other as we are, beautiful in our diversity. We consecrate these flowers with the same words used by the Reverends Norbert and Maya Chopek. Infinite Spirit of life, we ask your blessings on these flowers, these messengers of fellowship and love. May they remind us, amidst diversities of knowledge and of gifts, to be one in desire and affection and devotion. May they also remind us of the value of companionship, of doing and sharing alike. May we cherish friendship as one of life's most precious gifts. May we not let awareness of another's talents discourage us or sully our relationship, but realize that whatever we can do, great or small, the efforts of all of us are needed to do our work in this world. Let our flowers be consecrated by our intention. Amen. Religious community is not like a store. You don't get to select the ways in which you will be transformed here. Rather, you simply are transformed by being in this diverse, inclusive community. So today, let us do as Reverend Norbert Chopek instructed, taking one flower just as it comes. I invite you to come forward, starting over here. If you still have flowers, you can just come and put them in one of the baskets. there's more down here. And there are still flowers here. If you were sitting back, you wanted to make sure everyone got one, be sure after the service to come forward and get one. So Norbert Chopek would wind up dying in one of the Nazi concentration camps. Those who were with him, who survived, told the story afterwards of how even in there he was still working to build community and encourage everyone to show love for one another. As Henri Frederick Emile says, life is short. We don't have much time to gladden the hearts of those who walk this way with us. So be swift to love and make haste to be kind. And as we always say at the end of our services, and may you too know the blessings of community. Go in peace.
So many things that Reverend Joanna spoke about today it's just faith development, right? It never ends. It always is continuous. There's never that point where you're like, I'm done. Because we're always growing and changing and evolving, and that's the beauty of Unitarian Universalism. And in that spirit today of change and growth, we've changed our schedule some today because we had an opportunity to do the maypole. So today, the membership class is going to be rescheduled until June 2nd. And it's my class, you'd think I'd know the name. The Article 2 class will be on the 26th. We're just gonna shift, and everybody is invited to partake in the weaving of the maypole, of weaving all of our lives together into a community that supports the pole that holds us all. And I hope that you'll stay and enjoy and partake of it. The nursery will be open till 12:30. Everybody else is with the maypole. And if you're just like, oh, I don't want to do the maypole, we have our tables set up in the fellowship hall with discussion questions that we invite you to sit down together and explore what you heard today on a deeper level and share more about yourselves through the questions. I didn't hear that, so it must have been funny. And do the maypole. Do the maypole. All right, so thank you very much. That's your invitation.
Please join me in extinguishing our chalice with these words by Unitarian Universalist Wayne Arneson. Take courage, friends. The way is often hard. The path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. Take courage, for deep down there is another truth. You are not alone. He wants the light. Let us leave this service with renewal in our spirit and a song in our heart. Please rise for number 305, De Colores. It has been a gift to be together today. After the postlude, please spend the next 5 minutes taking time with someone you don't know. Members, be sure to introduce yourself to any first-timers we have. They are the ones with handwritten name tags. And show them where the visitors table and the coffee are. And may we all know the blessing of friendship.